All right, we are ready to go. We got Sherry Sylvester all teed up here. Winners and Losers is on the air. What a momentous week it was, Sherry.
Well, Lynn, it was absolutely momentous. Thank you guys for having me. And there's so many things that we could talk about, but I really was glad that the House last night stamped their approval on defunding National Public Radio and PBS. I just have loved watching them squirm. Those of us who are conservatives have wanted this for years. The government should not be funding any kind of media, but it was so great watching them. They said all along, we don't need this government money. We raise money on our own. This is only a small percentage, but in the end, they said it would be devastating, just devastating. And so I have loved this. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm not a big fan of her, but her statement at the hearing was the one that we should go with. Going forward, they can hate us on their own dime. They just incredibly biased. I mean, these were people that wouldn't allow anybody to on their stations to suggest that COVID might have come from a lab leak. They were big pushers of Russiagate. So it was clearly time for them to go. So that the American taxpayers are the winners because we're no longer picking up the tab. The losers, and I'm sure you guys can add to my list, the losers this week are the Democrats, and I've just got a list of reasons. The Texas Democrats have no strategy, special sessions coming up next week. They don't even know if they're going to show up. So that's the Texas Democrats.
True.
19% is the approval of congressional Democrats. Only 19% of their own people
a record
think that
low.
They're doing a God job. Their top candidate is a communist anti-Semite, and then Mamdani in New York City, and then former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo gets back in the race, almost ensuring that the communist anti-Semite will win the election.
Yep.
Their biggest fundraiser are AOC and Jasmine Crockett, so they scored big this week, and all the normal people didn't score at all. And did you all see this? Adam Schiff lives in Maryland.
Great point, Sherry.
He's the state senator the U.S. senator from California. So, to lower his mortgage rates, he declares a homestead exemption in Maryland. So big losers, Democrats.
Did you see that video clip where some reporters were chasing him down the hallways of the Senate office building and he ducked into an elevator? He's got a big issue there. He and Letitia James both have been found out to be claiming tax-exempt residency status in states other than which they live. Surprise, surprise, a little hypocrisy there, Lynn.
All right, what's your big winner and loser of the week?
I'm going to potentially surprise y'all. I'm going to say the big winner of this week is Donald Trump. This is something that hadn't been talked about much, but remember on Tuesday he went to Pittsburgh and he launched a big AI initiative there that the State Senator Dave McCormick organized, and they ramped up and have raised $90 billion. Pittsburgh's remaking itself. This is a great example. $90 billion will get you some jobs and some followers and some economic development in Pennsylvania. It would be the big winner. What they're doing is they're going to develop AI there. They're going to develop data centers. It was a big week for fossil fuels and this thing called co-location, where you can put a small nuclear plant or a fossil fuel burning plant on location so you don't have to depend on the grid. Governor Josh Shapiro was there. He was talking about how we need to get together, and when you focus on your differences, you don't get anything done. It will also focused on deregulating and doing some things in that regard, which is a big conservative movement. And generally, I think Trump is going to have long-term benefits in the state of Pennsylvania as opposed to some of these short-term things that we're focusing on. The loser of the week for me was a liberal Democrat lawfare, because you've got Donald Trump now being able to dismantle the Department of Education. He's had 11 court victories so far in his second term. He's going to be able to downsize the federal government. He's been able to take the LGBTQ indoctrination, let parents opt out of it. and many other things that have shown the American public that there is such a thing as Democrat tactics in lawfare, and yet we want to be moving forward. And the economic numbers this week were off the charts.
All right, I'm going to stick my toe in the water where neither one of you two have gone.
All right.
By the way, I had PBS, obviously, and Adam Schiff on my loser list as well. But I'm going to go a split decision on Donald Trump. I'm going to say he was one of my big losers of the week for his idiotic calling of his own political base stupid, which he did over and over. That's just dumb. I don't care who does it. Also, his thing about saying the Epstein thing was made up by Barack Obama and James Comey, I thought was a little off the beaten path. He had a really bad week on the Epstein front. And as a journalist, as an opinion journalist, if that's what we're being called, I'm going to side with one of my winners, Megyn Kelly, who said, "I refuse to be Trump's CNN." Now, on the winning side for Trump, he gave an ultimatum to Vladimir Putin to end the war. 50 days, he said. We're probably around the 43-day range as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
And Putin responded by some pretty heavy bombing of Ukraine. Trump will be a loser on that issue unless he sticks with that red line.
Absolutely.
And I think he will. But I make him a winner on Russia, on Epstein. It was not a good week.
Yeah, Lynn, you wrote an excellent piece on that. If your listeners are also your readers on Epstein, I don't want us to get very far along in the show without noting that we had Andrew Bernal, the chief of staff for Jill Biden, again take the fifth.
Yes.
So now we've got two former Biden people. And let's remember, they know something really bad is going to happen, because what we hear them say is my constitutional right to take the Fifth Amendment. The end of that statement is on the grounds that it could incriminate me. They remember, that's the piece of it. You can't incriminate yourself. That's why you take the fifth. So they know that some laws have been broken. I love Comey's idea that he wants to call Jill. I mean, that would be good. What would she wear? That'd be big. So Jill, the Bidens taking the fifth. They continue to do this. It's just incredible.
Now, and Sherry,
you're
right.
Sherry, what kind of breakfast taco would she eat?
So you've got the
Great.
doctor, the presidential doctor,
right,
and the chief of staff for Jill, both taking the fifth when asked the simple question: was the president capable mentally of undertaking the responsibilities of the presidency? And they can't answer the question. Are you kidding me? Is that what you're talking about?
That is exactly what they said. That's the question. Was he capable of executing his duties? And they said they couldn't answer, which tells me that he wasn't capable.
Exactly.
Because think of all those people who said that he was all along. I wanted to get more specific on Jim on your Trump wins.
Okay.
Last week the Supreme Court said yes. Trump can cut the federal workforce. It's an executive workforce, so he's the chief executive, so he can cut that. And this week they underscored that by saying that he could cut 1,300 employees out of the Department of Education. Anytime you can cut the Department of Education, that's a total good move. So it was good for Trump. I've got the NEA on my losers list, but I'll take a breath in case somebody else wants to jump in.
Well, I think you too. I'm just disappointed in both of you for not mentioning the biggest loser of the week, and I will take it upon myself to do that now.
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
And that would be Stephen Colbert.
Oh, yeah.
From CBS. Sherry, I think you could compound the losers here. I think Stephen Colbert is the big loser, losing his show. It's, through May, and then it's gone, and CBS says we're just not making any money off of it. But I think you can probably add Jimmy Kimmel to that list. And once Kimmel's gone, then probably Fallon will be gone, and late night comedy, if that's what it is, on broadcast television is coming to a close because of market forces.
And it's amazing to me that his Colbert's supporters are trying to suggest that it's because Colbert criticized CBS for paying the settlement to Trump when they doctored that interview with Kamala Harris, because they clearly doctored it, and they're trying to make him into some kind of a martyr. But you're absolutely right. They took him off the air because he wasn't funny anymore.
That would be something that would be fairly important if you're a late-night comedy talk show host, wouldn't it?
Well, we were talking earlier, Sherry, about Colbert's comedy against Trump is vicious. And Johnny Carson's comedy against Ronald Reagan, if you had a split screen and Reagan was watching it, he would have been roaring with laughter. And that because it wasn't cruel.
Exactly, and we know that Trump watches Gutfeld all the time, and Gutfeld will go after Trump. So yeah, this is the end of an era, and it might have happened anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm not sure everybody sits down in front of the TV at a certain time anymore.
Yeah, well, that's big part. That's a big part of the problem. I would like to mention. I think did you mention Mamdani already?
I did,
but there's a couple of other things I wrote down, both in the loser column. Mamdani for relying on somebody else's money, namely his parents, which is, imagine no possessions and all that. And then AOC hosting a breakfast for Mamdani. And boy, you got certain people like Schumer who can't figure out what to do with this.
It's just incredible. It is just incredible that you've got people. We also saw this week on my losers list, we had Obama coming out telling Democrat and Mark Cuban, Texas Mark Cuban, both came out and said, the Democrats, their message is no good. Cuban said their only message is Trump sucks. Obama comes out and says, we've got to talk to men. And then when you listen to him, he says, take your little boy to the theater. But getting back to your point, none of this is working at all. And what's working is Mamdani.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at the Austin City Council.
Right.
I mean, it's Democrats, socialists all over the place. I don't think that this is new in the country. Certainly it's not new in Austin. And it is something that the country has got to be aware of and be careful of, because our urban areas could be inundated with people like Mamdani if we're not careful. I want to mention, I'll use all three of her names because that's the way she goes by. Democrat Representative Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz.
Oh, back in the news?
Yes, she has come out against Alligator Alcatraz. Now, she went over to Florida, and she went to Alligator Alcatraz, and she noted that the place where they brush their teeth is too close to their commode. And I went into my little apartment and measured from the commode over to the sink where I brush my teeth, and I am going to approach my apartment and demand that they change that.
Your Congress.
Absolutely, Lynn.
Sherry, I'm going to jump in here, and
ahead.
then I'll let you have the final one. But did y'all see that Donald Trump announced on Wednesday that Coca-Cola is going to be adding the sweet stuff? This Robert F. Kennedy guy over at Health and Human Services, he announced Monday that artificial dyes are going to be phased out of ice cream. I think America's well on its way with this Trump leadership, and this is important to the moms and the dads in the food industry across the country. Coca-Cola started using, fructose and corn syrup back in the 80s, and now we're going to stop using dyes and these fake sugar substitutes. Have you ever seen a thin person who drinks Diet Coke, is what Donald Trump said? So we're getting healthier. I think that's...
I will have both of you know that I drink Diet Dr. Pepper, so you can't smear me with that brush.
And you are a thin person.
Oh, not exactly.
Sherry, take it from there.
Well, let's get back to the things that matter. Homeland Security Secretary this week said she is working on no more travel size bottles. Now that you don't have to take your shoes off, hopefully you won't have to give them your water bottle when you go through security. This is something that will make a difference in the quality of our lives. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Kristi Noem. In Austin, I saw we've got 100 more Waymos. And we've started a war on these robot-driven cars. Tesla's getting ready to expand, so we've got that. But
that's way more than I thought.
Way more than you thought. But then, big victory. We're getting the last laugh, the All-Star game back in Atlanta.
Oh, yes.
After Biden pulled it out of there and said everybody in Georgia was a bunch of white supremacists.
All right. I think, I'll just
good.
close then, Sherry, by saying that the SEC is big on my losers list this morning.
Oh, really?
Steve Sarkisian walks out to the tune of the Aggie War hymn.
Uh-oh. Cue it up.
So
Huge mistake.
That was a big mistake, and they have apologized. All right. I knew that was going to happen. All right, Sherry Sylvester, it's always a pleasure, and we will do it again next Friday.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, guys.
You too, ma'am.